What happens when two sworn enemies unite? Could the very thing that divided them for decades now bring them together? In Northern Ireland, Catholic nationalists and Protestant unionists, long at odds, have found common ground in an unexpected alliance. This video will unravel these rare moments of unity between two opposing groups, sworn enemies united by a common cause. Imagine the scene, marching side by side, driven by a shared purpose that transcends their historic divide. But what could possibly unite such long-standing rivals? Stay with us as we reveal the truth behind this unlikely alliance. For centuries, Catholics and Protestants in Northern Ireland have been locked in a bitter conflict rooted in deep political, religious, and cultural divisions. This animosity can be traced back to the early 17th century, when British colonization efforts, particularly in the Ulster region, displaced Irish Catholics and installed Protestant settlers who remained loyal to the British Crown. These divisions became even more pronounced after the partition of Ireland in 1921, which left Northern Ireland as part of the United Kingdom, predominantly Protestant, while the newly formed Irish Free State was overwhelmingly Catholic. The conflict escalated into what is known as the Troubles, a period of intense violence from the late 1960s to the 1990s. During this time, Protestant Unionists who wanted Northern Ireland to remain part of the UK clashed violently with Catholic nationalists who sought unification with the Republic of Ireland. The violence, which included bombings, shootings, and riots, led to over 3,600 deaths and left a legacy of deep mistrust and division between the two communities. Even with the signing of the Good Friday Agreement in 1998, which largely ended the violence, the scars of this conflict remain, and divisions between the two communities persist. Despite the deep-rooted animosity, recent events have sparked an extraordinary and rare moment of solidarity between Catholic nationalists and Protestant unionists. These groups have united against a common cause, opposing the UK government's policies on Muslim asylum seekers. This unexpected alliance is a powerful reminder of how shared concerns can bring together even the most unlikely allies. In recent years, Irish anti-immigration protests have emerged as a grassroots campaign, uniting communities across Dublin and beyond. These protests oppose what they see as the government's mishandling of the asylum seeker crisis. Neighborhood groups such as Culloch Says No, Ballman Says No, and East Wall Says No have become the voices of their communities, advocating against governmental policies they believe are unfair and poorly managed. The movement gained significant momentum in late 2022, particularly in East Wall, where residents were shocked to find that a former office building had been repurposed into emergency accommodation for asylum seekers without any prior consultation. The sudden influx of refugees, particularly single men, sparked concerns about safety, resource adequacy, and the long-term impact on the community. These communities, already grappling with housing shortages and underfunded public services, saw the arrival of asylum seekers as an additional strain on their limited resources. The situation reached a boiling point as the government continued to push its policies without adequately addressing the concerns of local communities. The neglect of these communities, coupled with the added burden of accommodating new arrivals, fueled a sense of injustice and betrayal. These frustrations were exacerbated by accusations of police brutality during protests, with many protesters accusing the Garda, the Irish police, of using excessive force to suppress their demonstrations. This repression only served to strengthen the unity within the movement, bringing together diverse groups who might not otherwise have found common cause. What began as a local protest against asylum centers grew into a broader movement reflecting deep dissatisfaction with how the government is handling both the refugee crisis and domestic issues like housing. These protests have become as much about asserting the rights and voices of local communities as they are about opposing specific policies. In a country with such a deeply divided history, the unity between Catholic nationalists and Protestant unionists in opposition to the UK government's policies is nothing short of remarkable. This alliance, forged in the crucible of shared concerns, highlights the complex dynamics at play in Northern Ireland today. It's a reminder that even the most entrenched divisions can be bridged when communities face common challenges. As these groups continue to rally together, they underscore the need for governments to listen to their citizens and address their concerns. This movement is not just about opposing asylum centers, it's about demanding accountability and fairness from those in power. In the end, the unlikely alliance of S.